Welcome to the Prophecy Club. In this case, I hate to say it, but I told you so, or even more specifically, Dimitri has warned us this was coming. So let me start with what the warning was. I'm sure you've heard it many times if you've been listening a while. If not, then it's important that you hear it. And then we're going to talk about how this is coming to pass now and why I say that. And I think I do have some information you probably have not heard. Okay, first of all, as you recall, the angel Gabriel spoke to Dimitri Duduman in approximately 1984, while it was first told him this was coming in 1980, which is, some 37 years ago now. But it was given to him, this full version was given to him in 1984, and he was told that the fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America. Started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries, which I cannot remember, will attack. The Russians will bombard the nuclear missiles in America, and America will burn. Now, let me read the point we're going to be talking about today again. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Now, let me put that in modern terms. The fall of America will start with a disagreement between Americans that is stirred up by communist groups. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. And then, of course, Russia sees problems with America and says, hey, this is a good time to attack. All right, now let's go to 8/16/2017. The headline is called 3 More Charged in Durham Confederate Statue Vandalism. I'm only going to read part of the article. Durham, North Carolina. 3 more people were arrested Wednesday in the vandalism of a Confederate statue on Monday night in Durham. Now, let me play part of a TV interview.
Officers pulled Tran and Strabino out of a courtroom and cuffed them. They had been there to support fellow protester Takia Thompson, who was making her first court appearance before a judge.
There's revolutions taking place all throughout the country right now, and the revolution won't be stopped.
Thompson and Tran have identified themselves as belonging to the Durham branch of the Workers' World Party. The group's website says they consider themselves revolutionary socialist. Tran says it's a broad movement.
We're not just talking about Confederate statues. We're talking about racist politicians. We're talking about racist policing. We're talking about discriminatory housing. We're talking about gentrification. We're talking about incarceration.
On the group's Facebook page, there's a list of demands connected to this case. For instance, they say they want all the charges against them dropped. Included in that list, they say they want to abolish the police, prisons, ICE, and the Pentagon.
What did she say? Listen to that part again.
They say they want to abolish the police, prisons, ICE, and the Pentagon.
So, obviously, they want to destroy this nation, and they want to bring in a communist nation. You can't get it too much more plain than that. Let me read a couple of lines more from this article. 2 of them identify themselves as being part of the Durham branch of World Workers' Party, a group that identifies itself as a group of revolutionary socialists. Now, what are they saying? Well, how would we say that? We would say they want to cause an internal revolution started by the communists. I mean, how else do you say it? That's what they're saying. Let me go on. There's revolutions taking place all across the country right now, and those revolutions won't be stopped. Their words, not mine. What they just said is we're going to start an internal revolution started by the communists. Now let's go on. We're following a historical legacy of standing up to the powers that be, to these racist, fascist systems, and we're on the right side of history. We're not going to let the police or this jail intimidate us. They're saying that they're going to start an internal revolution started by the communists. Now, let's go on to the next article. It gets even worse. Headline, Police. Charlottesville was an inside job to ignite race war. Now, if you had any questions about whether this is the internal revolution starting or perhaps already started, this is going to remove it. This is from yournewswire.com. A Charlottesville police officer claims the riots, which pitched white supremacists against Antifa, were set up to further the agenda of the elites. A Charlottesville police officer has come forward. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. I have not actually gone to Charlottesville. I have not interviewed this police officer. I cannot guarantee what I'm saying is accurate. But it does come from an internet newswire source. And, most of us Christians, we can tell the difference between a lie and the truth when someone's telling us. And this sounds like the truth. Let's go on, though. A Charlottesville police officer has come forward to express his anger at being told to stand down by the city mayor during violent clashes between protesters. He also claims the protest, which pitched white supremacists against members of the Antifa, were, quote, set up to further the agenda of the elites. We, parentheses, Charlottesville police, were ordered to bring the rival groups together. As soon as they were in contact with each other, we were told to stand down. Now, I've never been to a chicken fight, but I've heard that the way they get the chickens to fight is they throw them against each other. Okay, isn't that really what they're doing here? When they bring the rival groups together, which would normally separate themselves far enough apart from each other so that they would not actually get into some kind of a fist fight, or in this case, a club or a baseball bat fight. But in this case, the police herded them together like cattle. This is what they're actually saying. And then they were told to stand down. In other words, they were told to put them all together, kind of like a chicken fight. They're throwing the chickens at each other, trying to get them to fight. Let's go on with the article. As soon as they were in contact with each other, we were told to stand down. It was outrageous. We weren't allowed to arrest anyone without asking the mayor first. We weren't even allowed to stop the driver as he sped away. The event was being set up as far back as at least May, and it went like clockwork. Went on to say the mayor of Charlottesville ordered police to stand down during the most chaotic and destructive period of the protests, despite police protests against the orders. Quote, we wanted to do our job and keep the peace, but these people in charge really want to destroy America. A Fox News reporter, and it mentions the name here, was on the scene at Charlottesville, and he backs up the police officer's claims. Quote, I could say, having been in the Emancipation Park from early on that morning, that what I saw with my own two eyes confirms what this law enforcement source just told us. At least, from all visible appearances, we saw people coming out of that park who had head wounds, who were bleeding from the head, people walking into the park with bats, with sticks. You saw what they were wearing, helmets, body armor. They had come, and this pertains to both sides, they had come to do damage. You cannot help but notice that from that video, had police been more proactive, they could have potentially calmed this thing down to some degree. Went on to say Michael Signer is this is the Charlottesville mayor, they say, is a Virginia Democratic activist with close ties to Barack Obama and John Podesta. Well, I'm so surprised. I mean, those are two upstanding, fine Christian Americans that love our country, right? Maybe not. Let's go on to the article. Before landing the Charlottesville mayor job, he previously worked closely with Podesta at the Center of American Progress. Let me say it again. At the Center of American Progress. There's that word progress. I mean, what I've told you? When you hear progress or progressive, it's another word for communism. It's the modern word for communism. And worked with him again on Barack Obama's State Department transition team. The New World Order, this article goes on to say, led in the United States by elite operatives Obama, Podesta, Soros, Clinton, and company, are pulling out all the stops to create division through chaos and destruction. I didn't say that. That's what this article says. And they're backing this up with several different sources, news articles, news reporters, as well as police officers. And essentially it's saying the fall of America would start with an internal revolution. Started in Charlotte. Well, no. I mean, started by the communists. I mean, started by the progressive. I mean, started by George Soros. I mean, started by. Well, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any difference what name we put there. But the point is, the prophet was right. The angel Gabriel was right. God was right. And he was right to warn us. The problem is, are most Americans believing this message? No. They'd rather watch the TV and go play and go to the ball game, things like that. How many of them call and say, Stan, I'm with your brother. If you ever get in any trouble, give me a call and I'll send you a donation, brother. If you guys ever get hey, if you need to expand to another radio station, let me see if I can help. Can I help? How can I help? Let me help. I want to be a part of it. No. As a matter of fact, let me tell you a little story. About this time last year, we sent out our new catalog. Now, we had not sent out a catalog in years. We sent it out to a large number of people, and it was surprising to us how many people called our office, and yes, they placed orders. Some of them placed large orders. Oh, well, we didn't even know the Prophecy Club was even around anymore. Well, then, what were you doing? You're just shopping. You just kind of go by and pick up a DVD from time to time, toss a $20 bill from time to time. See, that's the problem. What I'm saying, brothers and sisters, the right attitude should be, look, I want to follow Prophecy Club, because it's not about Stan, it's not about Prophecy Club, and it's not even about Dimitri, but it is about that warning message that God has sent to this nation. This nation, unlike Nineveh, is not listening. What should be happening is say, I'm going to stand with you on a regular monthly basis, not just to survive, but I believe in this message. We got to get it on more stations. We got to reach more people. And by the way, if you ever, I'm going to stand with you monthly, but if you ever need more, let me know. Call me, let me know. Where are those people? Why, no. We'll be right back after this message. The extreme summer blowout is now in effect. You can get 50 DVDs for $250. That's $5 each. 25 for $160. That's $6.40 each. 15 for $120. That's $8 each. 10 for $100. Obviously $10 each. 6 for $70. 4 for $50, and 2 for $30. You can go to prophecyclub.com. There's a list of all the DVDs there, or you can call us and ask for the summer catalog, or download the catalog at prophecyclub.com. Flip through it, then decide which DVDs you want. That's 785-266-1112, and it expires soon. Call 785-266-1112 today. Some restrictions apply. Well, the truth is, almost no people on earth agree on all points of the Bible. But if you listen to the Prophecy Club, the Spirit of Prophecy Church might be just right for you. Our two most controversial beliefs are speaking in tongues and post-trib. But you might have to attend a long time to see anybody speaking in tongues, and we don't really make post-trib a big deal. But our two only sticking points are Jesus is Lord and the King James Bible. So if you're not attending a church, or if you're maybe looking for a new or a different church home, especially if you like to listen to the Prophecy Club, Spirit of Prophecy Church might be a fit. Most of our congregation found us via Prophecy Club, and many actually drive long distances to attend. We suggest you visit at least 5 times before making your decision. And if you walk in Sunday morning about 10:15, you walk into coffee and donuts. You're free to leave anytime, no questions asked. So, if you listen to Prophecy Club, give us a try. Spirit of Prophecy Church, 2540 K Avenue in Plano. That's on the corner of Park and K, like the margarine, right behind the Whataburger. Spirit of Prophecy Church, 2540 K Avenue, Plano, Sunday, 10:15. Ask for Stan. And now, back to the program. Where are those people? Why, no. We didn't even know Prophecy Club was around anymore. We're glad to see this catalog come in the mail. Back to the article. Crowds of paid protesters and useful psychopaths, it says, are being sent into pitched battle against one another to sour the mood of the nation and further divide us all. Well, again, what's it say? The fall of America starts with an internal revolution, started by the communists. Let's go on to the article. They're manipulating and controlling newsworthy events in order to maintain power and control over the public and to swing public opinion. The man accused of being a neo-Nazi and murdering a woman by deliberately driving into her during the protests in Charlottesville is in reality a supporter of Hillary Clinton and a member of Antifa in receipt of funding from George Soros. Now, remember my disclaimer, I can't prove any of this, but it's probably true. It sounds like it's true, doesn't it? Let's go on. White supremacists and Unite the Right leader has been exposed as a supporter of former President Obama and a hardline member of far-left Occupy movement. When did he change his political leaning? According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization certainly no friend to the conservatives, revealed his political transformation around November 2016, the same month Donald Trump won the presidential election. And yes, by the way, if you do run across this article, I have removed certain names and things like that because I'm not trying to point any fingers here. I'm trying to make a point. The point being is the internal revolution is here. The prophecy that was spoken 37 years ago, well, actually spoken in 1984, I guess it's not 37 years ago, but a long time ago, is now coming to pass. Let's go on to the article. If you think that's suspicious, he says, wait until you learn about the other actors in this enormous setup event. First man on the scene. He says the first man on the scene was actually on the scene and was the author of the first viral tweet about Charlottesville. He was later interviewed by MSNBC. He was presented as an actual witness, but was he really? This article claims that the first man on the scene, which was interviewed, actually worked in Africa as a State Department foreign officer under Hillary Clinton. The New York, I won't mention who, mentioned this is a coincidence and then later deleted it. And I'm skipping another name, was also involved with another name I'm skipping, and he is currently, and I'm skipping that, who is running for, and I'm skipping that, and received $380,000 from George Soros. So the first man on the scene, whose tweet went viral, and who was later interviewed on the mainstream news as a witness, just happened to be a State Department insider with a long history of involvement in PsyOps. Now, if you think this isn't fishy, how about this? Since the Charlottesville protests and his appearance in the media, his information was suddenly removed from State Department websites. The elites know we are under them, and they're trying to cover their tracks. They can censor Google and social media and close down accounts, but they will never be able to stop us from sharing information and speaking to each other. But brothers and sisters, understand what we're reading here, what we're talking about here is something far, far more serious than what these guys understand. See, they're getting their information, I'm going to say it this way, with all kindness. And by the way, thank you to these brothers that wrote these articles, brothers and sisters. But we're listening to a higher source. We're not listening to the State Department or George Soros or down on that level. We're listening to the most highest God and his prophets. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Or we could say it this way, the fall of America will start with Charlottesville, with an internal revolution begun there and other places, started by the communists, the progressives, those people that don't like capitalism, don't like Christianity, and want to destroy the last Christian nation. Some of the people in that Christian nation will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. And then, of course, all of this caused by God because of our sins. Then God uses the hand of Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries to come and to defeat America. Why? Because America has become the habitation of every devil and the hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God that judgeth her. She saith in her heart, I'm rich and increased with goods, and have need of nothing, But knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked? I counsel thee to buy me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and have white raiment, so that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. If, therefore, thou shalt not watch, I will come upon thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Brothers and sisters, you're listening to this broadcast. You're one of the watchmen. You're one of the good guys. You're one of the people that we've got to say, look, this is our best opportunity to win souls, to work, to serve the Lord. This is I really believe that the best way, let me rephrase it, the best message to win souls between now and Jesus' return is, of course, the gospel. Always has been, always will be. But the thing that will point people to the gospel more than anything else is this message. See, right now, people are rich and increased with goods and have need of nothing. At least that's what they think. They're wearing their three-piece suits. They're driving a nice car, living in a nice house. They got a nice bank account. There's plenty of food and water and a clean place to sleep and water to drink and food to eat. They don't need God. Just like I told you the other day, there's a fella that come over to fix my air conditioner. You a Christian? Well, not exactly. I mean, I was raised in a Christian home, but it's sort of not my thing. In other words, well, I'm just a little bit too busy. I mean, I just don't need God, and that's their attitude. But brothers and sisters, I think you see that this message is coming to pass. And when it comes to pass, many people are going to turn to Jesus. I remember it was June 16th of 2008. I'd put myself on an 18-city speaking tour, talked about this a couple of days ago. And I was talking about oil in Israel and fall of America and the series of suitcase nukes all across America. That night, I said, Lord, I hope you're pleased with what we're doing, because spending $3,500 per city in advertising and not many people are attending and getting saved. And that night he spoke to me. Now, anytime I say this, got to give you that disclaimer. Cannot guarantee we're ever going to drill for, hit, or find oil in Israel. But I heard a voice say, Stan, I will give you the money to drill the well in Israel. And I answered back. I said, the oil well? But there was no answer. Now, the rest of what happened that night, for the most part, I don't even talk about. And I guess maybe because it's too hard. I mean, I didn't exactly hear words. I mean, hopefully you know that God can communicate with us. We don't necessarily have to have a dream, vision, angel visit, or words. Well, the rest of the night, I was taken to school. Literally. It was like I was sitting in a desk, and I was being schooled on several things. One of the things he told me is, and this is the way he said it to me, and this part I think I can even tell you the words, though I didn't hear words, but I can tell you the words. I can't explain it, but anyway, he said, when those prophecies that I gave your wife begin to come to pass, people from all directions will begin to turn to your ministry and to listen, and they'll begin to know that you're carrying the truth. That's what I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters. You've been listening for a while. You know this ministry. You know we're carrying the truth. You know that this message of Dimitri Duduman is going to win thousands upon thousands of souls. May I suggest that you get behind this ministry. Let me put it this way. I must have been about 1994. Yeah, it was. Kevin Fundervis, a prophet, prophesied to me and Leslie, and part of what he said to me, as a matter of fact, I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll pull it, and I have it. I have the whole prophecy recorded. But he said to me, the time is going to come where people will come and repent before you, saying, I did not see how God was in what you're doing, but now I see, and I will get behind you. Your greatest critics will become your biggest supporters. See, right now, people don't like the message of Dimitri. They don't like Prophecy Club. They don't like what I have to say. We don't make them feel good. We don't warm them. But brothers and sisters, you've been listening for a while. You know this truth. And you know that people are going to begin to turn. Look, I mean, there's a newspaper article that comes out that says Omer ushers in Palestinian state. I'm telling you right now, Leslie is going to be the most popular prophet in America, might even be the world. And that's just the first one. You wait till the second one pops up, catastrophe hits America, and a lot of people can be listening. And then the third one comes along in a newspaper headline that says, one of America's greatest times of need, and you won't be able to book Leslie. Nah. Everybody, they're all going to be wanting to interview her, have her in to speak. Well, that's what he told me. He said, that's coming. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is, this ministry, though it might be small, is small by the hand of God. It's small because God is judging the Christians, I believe, the Christians that heard it, but did not help it get out. I can imagine standing before the great white throne of judgment. One of the people steps up that's about to be sent to hell and says, wait, I didn't get to live very long. You know, it wasn't fair. And God's going to say, well, you should have known. And they say, well, I didn't know you were going to bombard America with nuclear weapons. And if I'd have known, then I would have repented. I think I can just imagine him pointing over to a group of watchmen, of which Stan Johnson stands among that group. Says, you see that group? If you had wanted to know, I would have arranged for one of those men to get the information to you. I can see the guy saying, but I didn't hear it. Why didn't I hear it? I mean, it wasn't on the radio in my city. Why not? Well, you see that group over there? This is the group of people that heard it. These were the Christians. They heard it. They thought it was real interesting. Some of them even repented. Some of them even received Jesus. But they didn't stand behind this guy over here. So the message didn't get out, you see. Nevertheless, your blood is on your own head. Now, here's the big question that would concern me. You remember Ezekiel 33:6. But if the watchman see the sword come, or here's the way we would say it, but if the watchman knows that the Russians are going to attack, you see, okay, but if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take that a person away from among them, he is taken away in his own iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. You know what that's saying? That's saying, brothers and sisters, that if you've heard this message, you're responsible. You're going to have to answer to God. What'd you do with it? What'd you do with it? Oh, well, I bought a DVD. Oh, I tossed him a $20 donation. Now, maybe God will say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. I mean, I don't know. I'm not your judge. But maybe he won't. You got to ask yourself. You heard this message. You heard the warning. You heard it's going to start with an internal revolution. Now, what do we do? You know, one of the scriptures that continues to stick with me is, I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life, and every man was judged according to things written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and every man was judged according to his works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death, and whosoever was not found written in the book was cast into the lake of fire. See, brothers and sisters, when we get before that great white throne, we want to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust settling on everything around you. Then you breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid and kills you. A simple fix is to immediately take potassium iodate pills, which flood your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult. 10 bottles available for a gift of $225 or $25 per bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life from 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate or freeze it. That's prophecyclub.com, potassium iodate pills.